Jeep has finally put a V8 in the Wrangler. People have been asking for it forever. First up, it is a power monster, 470 horsepower and 470 pound-feet of torque, available at just above idle. That means the Jeep Wrangler is gonna get up and go. And they are saying that the 0 to 60 time now is gonna be 4.5 seconds, which is crazy out of a Wrangler. They're also estimating quarter-mile time somewhere in the 13 seconds. So what do I think of that? Well, it's more power than the EcoDiesel, both torque and horsepower, but they still have Dana 44 axles in it. Let's talk about the 392 cubic inch V8 Hemi now in the Wrangler. It sports 470 horsepower and 470 pound-feet of torque, both of which are more than the next most powerful Jeep, and that is the EcoDiesel, and currently the one I own. Now, Jeep still is featuring the Dana 44 axles, and they only are shipping this with 33-inch tires. And we all know anybody buying the high-performance Wrangler is gonna put bigger tires on it. And that is my first point of concern. With all this horsepower and torque and still a Dana 44 axle, I'm a little bit worried about some of those driveline components. So Jeep has upgraded some of the parts of the axles, featuring thicker axle tubes, forged iron steering knuckles, but ring and pinion, U-joints, and drive shafts are pretty common things to break when you start putting bigger tires and have a lot of horsepower and torque. So that will be really interesting to see. And anybody who's putting 37s on this, which is probably gonna be the go-to size to upgrade to, is gonna have to be really careful with the throttle not to start damaging parts on your brand new 392 Rubicon. As for a transmission, we still have an 8-speed TorqueFlite transmission. However, it seems to be rated to handle the higher horsepower and torque of this V8. It's probably similar to the model that is also upgraded in the EcoDiesel. However, we get fancy little paddle shifters now on the steering wheel. I know a lot of people, when I go on the JL forums, are asking for a manual version of this. It doesn't look like it's gonna be offered in a manual. So just like supercars, you're gonna have to shift your gears next to your steering wheel. As for transfer cases on this, it doesn't look like it is the 4-to-1 transfer case. It seems to be a 2.72 low range gear transfer case, which is gonna give this a final crawl ratio of 48-to-1, which is much, much different than you would see on the other Rubicons and much lower. However, the torque and horsepower of that 392 V8 is gonna make up for that. And I don't think you're gonna have any problems crawling in a low gear. As for the sounds, well, the 392 Rubicon features a dual mode active exhaust. So this is like a lot of other cars out there where you have an electronically controlled valve in the exhaust system. And when the engine is under load, that valve is gonna open up, allow more airflow, reduce the back pressure on the engine, make sure that it's, happy and producing all its horsepower, but it's also gonna sound really good. Now, if you don't want to wait till you step on the throttle and add some load to that motor, it also has a button on the dash that you can hit to manually control whether those valves are open if you want to hear that V8 rumble all the time. So the first thing that I was thinking when I saw the front pictures of this were that air scoop on the top of the hood now. The V6 have it on the passenger side under the hood, the EcoDiesel on the driver's side under the hood, but now we're bringing in our cold air on the top of the hood, and I was thinking, what about water splashing in there, or snow coming in there, or you're driving and rain is coming in there? All kinds of stuff is gonna get in there. Well, Jeep has thought of that, of course, and they have this interesting baffle system, which is a dual air intake system. So there's a set of baffles which allow the water to be separated from the air that's coming into the engine. So if you completely block that air intake, there is a second air intake route that it can take, which allows for enough air to still be drawn into the engine without reducing any of the horsepower or torque. So not only does it look good, but it's super functional, and it's not gonna get clogged with snow if you're driving in the winter. So we already talked about the axles being a little bit more heavy duty, but I still think some of the driveline components could be a weak part with larger tires. But we now have a factory Mopar 2-inch lift included on the 392 Rubicon, which is gonna increase its approach, breakover, and departure angles to 44.5, 22.6, and 37.5 respectively. This isn't all that amazing, honestly, because this is pretty much the same changes you get by adding any basic lift to your Wrangler already. So I think, it's a bit of a numbers game here by saying we're gonna lift it up 2 more inches and it's going to change some of these approach, departure, and breakover angles. However, you still have your differential in the center being the lowest point of the vehicle. So the actual total clearance height really hasn't changed over the existing Rubicon at all. Along with this 2-inch lift, we're also getting upgraded Fox shocks, which look similar to the ones that we see on the Mojave edition of the Gladiator. And if you're wondering about the actual gear ratio, it is a 373 gear, not a 410 gear found on the 3.6 and 2.0 liter turbo engines. It is a 373, which is also the same as the EcoDiesel. You don't need such a high gear when you've got all that horsepower and torque, so they've dropped it down and probably tuned it all to match the engine's power bands and shift points of the transmission. But as I said, we still only have 33-inch tires. Jeep didn't go for 35 or 37-inch tires, which I think a lot of people were speculating on, and this is something that is available on the Bronco. My guess is if they started shipping it with 37-inch tires, they might see a lot more warranty claims for broken ring and pinions or other driveline components, and they probably wanted to keep their quarter-mile time and 0 to 60 time down as low as possible with the factory spec and 33-inch tires. And if we increase the tire size, increases the rotational mass, and is going to increase those numbers as well and make this 392 Rubicon look not as good on paper. But don't get me wrong, this thing is gonna still be very fast and extremely capable on 33-inch tires from the factory. Keep in mind, it is gonna slow down and change the performance a little bit when you upgrade to larger tires. Now, it also features 17-inch factory B-Lock capable wheels. They say capable because they look to be the same wheels that you can already buy from Mopar, where they come with a rock ring on them, or you can add a rock ring to them, and the wheels can be set up in a street legal fashion with the tires mounted in a traditional sense, or if you want to use it for off-road use only, or depending on what your local laws are, you can mount those up with the rock ring instead of mounting them up as a traditional tire, and that is going to allow you to air down much lower without your bead slipping off the rim, and you get that from factory, so that's pretty cool. I think the only problem I have here is that you're gonna end up with all these upgrades that you're paying for, and everybody's 392 Rubicon is gonna look the same. A lot of the mods that we do to our Jeeps are kind of ways to make them our own or customize them the way we want them, or they're parts that we've used in the past or friends have used that we get certain performance aspects out of. So I think having a bunch of Jeeps running around looking all identical might get a little bit boring, and otherwise you're basically just paying for all these upgrades from the factory that I suppose you could sell them, but you're not gonna get what you paid for them, and now you're gonna be buying more performance parts. I would have liked to seen a little bit more customization with some of the options so far that we've gone over, but it looks like Jeep wants to spec this out with everything in the kitchen sink, and we'll get to pricing in a minute, but I think this is gonna be a pretty expensive rig. As for the interior, Jeep has gotten rid of the red inserts that are pretty much required if you order a black interior on a Rubicon. It's probably one of the things I like the least about my Rubicon. And now all those dash panels are black, as well as the interior is all black and leather. The seats now feature side bolsters on them, which is similar to what we see already in the Mojave Gladiator. And you get some nice little 392 stitching underneath the Rubicon behind you on the back of the seat. As for the stitching, well, Jeep has replaced the red stitching on the Rubicons with a bronze stitching. This seems to be a color accent trend that we see throughout the Jeep in other places such as on the tow hooks, and they've used it on the stitching on the interior. So bronze, I guess, is gonna indicate that you have a V8 under your hood. I don't know, doesn't make sense. It looks cool though, and I like it, and I do appreciate not having to have red dash inserts and red stitching everywhere, especially when you're buying a color that doesn't go very well with red. Another thing that I noticed in the interior is it still has the 8.4-inch display in the center of the dash. Some of the newer models produced by FCA are starting to come with a 10-inch display. It would have really been nice to have that upgraded display in your sort of premium top-end Wrangler, but I still think the 8.4-inch looks good and it's pretty functional, and to be honest, I don't use it a ton in my JL as it is. As for the Mopar catalog for aftermarket parts, after you order your 392 Rubicon, I noticed a couple interesting things other than the off-road LED lights. There's a Rubicon winch option. You can add half doors now, which is pretty cool. There's tube doors, rock rails, The thing that I found interesting in the press release was that they talk about gear ratios now for the front and rear axle available up to a 538. So I'm kind of wondering if you can order different axle gear ratios or have the dealer install different gear ratios and still have warranty covered. So re-gearing your Jeep is a popular modification after you add larger tires, especially upwards of 37-inch tires. And it would be pretty interesting to see if you can now do that from the dealer and get warranty, although probably putting your 37-inch tires is gonna void the warranty anyways, or at least make them question what you're asking for to be warranted. And I'm guessing if you put a 538 gear ratio in there and 37-inch tires, you're probably going to be looking to replace that ring and pinion fairly frequently if you step on that gas pedal and put that 470 horsepower and 470 pound-feet of torque down to those 37s too quickly. All right, so you're probably all wondering just how much is the 392 Rubicon actually going to cost? Well, Jeep didn't exactly tell us at the press release earlier today, but I'm gonna take a bit of a shot in the dark estimate based on what I know on how much Jeeps cost, and different upgrades potentially would add to the price of the vehicle. Now, we have to keep in mind that the 392 Rubicon is coming completely spec'd out with almost every option available. It's not on the configurator yet as of making this video, and I'm not sure if you can pull back some of those options. So some of the things that Jeep has listed as included are leather interior seats. We've got the infotainment group. We're gonna have the HD electrical package, which gives you the switches on the dash and the higher output alternator. We've got the body color hardtop as well as the fenders, steel bumper group, LED lighting, cold weather group, remote proximity entry, safety group, advanced safety group. All these things add up. So if I take a look at Jeep.com, a highly spec'd EcoDiesel with all of those options is going to be around 65,000, maybe 67,000 if you go for that Sky One Touch roof in US dollars. And if you're looking at Canadian dollars, you're looking at around 72,000 for the EcoDiesel. Now, I don't think that the 392 Rubicon is gonna be that cheap. I think it is gonna be an additional premium on top of that. So you're basically looking at a fully spec'd out Rubicon with the most expensive option now. And then in addition to that, you're gonna be paying for that 2-inch lift, those Fox shocks, those B-lock capable wheels, the exhaust system. You're gonna be also paying for the axle upgrades and reinforcement, as well as that fancy hood and intake system. I really feel like this is all gonna add upwards of $10,000 in addition to the most expensive spec'd Wrangler that you can get now, which I think will probably put it around the 75,000 US range and somewhere in the 85,000 plus Canadian range. So this is gonna make it the most expensive Wrangler ever made. And if you can't peel back any of those options, which seem to be factory default, you're not gonna have a lot of room for adjustment in the pricing, and you're gonna have to think long and hard about how much you want that V8 and some of those accessories you're paying for that you may be upgrading anyways. That's all for today, guys. Regular upload on Saturday. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, smash that subscribe button, share it with your friends, and I'll see you in the next upload.